So we are a small nonprofit in Cleveland, Ohio, with worldwide brand recognition. I like to let people know that we are a small 501c3 nonprofit, which have a mission statement, as you can see. Our mission is to engage, teach, and inspire through the power of rock and roll. We have about 6,000 visitors every year. We teach hundreds of thousands of students, both on-site and online. We have Rock Hall EDU, where any educator can go and get curriculum and media in order to teach literally any subject that they teach in their classroom using the artifacts, digitized artifacts and tools that the Rock Hall provides. We give them tools to teach everything from using rock and roll to teach civil rights, rock and roll to teach science classes, rock and roll to teach, we have a great little program called Toddler Rock, where young preschool children come in and we teach them ABCs and everything using music. We have music educators on site all the time. We are an education institution, but we are also the custodians of the world's largest collection documenting the history of rock and roll and its larger place in society. So as custodians of that, we work very hard to organize, digitize, preserve, and make accessible and available to anyone who needs it, that our content. Right now, the problem that we are working through is that the majority of our content is accessible if you come to see us in Cleveland. So we've been working over the past year on what it looks like to make our collections and our archives accessible to anyone, anywhere throughout the world. I guess that's pretty much the background. If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. We do celebrate and honor the life and work of musicians and artists. We do throw some pretty great parties a couple times a year. We have a great induction ceremony. We have a Rock Hall Honors program. And all of those things create content, as well as artifacts and objects that people donate to us, or that we go out and collect, or things that are even born digital that live within our collection and our archive. We have an education division, we have a development division, we have a marketing division, we have all of the same things that everybody would think most businesses have. But I was listening to the last panel, and I get very jealous when people say, you have this team of people who do this and this team of people who do that. I am a team of one, and I work with every division within our organization, but tackling the asset management and metadata creation and archival storage and system implementations and everything that I feel like everybody goes through. I scramble around for partners internally to help me with things, but I am a team of one.
So speaking of partners, I believe you've had some technology be a pretty important partner in this journey, and let's talk a little bit about how to, what the asset stores are, and what are some of the projects that you've been involved in to make that content more globally accessible as well as internally.
So about a year ago, we kicked off the implementation of a new asset management system. There were some internal systems that existed kind of siloed in different divisions with some data. Most of our digital media was kept on servers or external hard drives or duplicated on people's desktops, or everybody seemed to have their own Dropbox or their own way of sharing things internally and externally. So the idea came to create obviously a centralized hub for managing our digital media. When I sort of put together a timeline for the executive team and said, here's how long I think it's going to take to bring all of these pieces together, discover what we have, but on top of that, build the infrastructure that was going to be needed for video production and management and cloud storage and preservation storage. They said, I said, I think it'll take about a year, and that was eye-opening for them. So the first question was, what do we do? What can we do quickly? And because our media was not in any way connected to any of its data, we do have a collections management system, we had a archive system, we have a library, we have, I'm going to actually switch to this.
There we go.
Idea number one was, what do we have? And being able to find all of the media, wrangle it into one place so that we could, eliminate duplicates and find what the treasures are. The second was, once we have the stuff in one place, how do we make it searchable? And what is the fastest and easiest way to make it searchable? So I partnered with Gray Meta, and we used one of their tools to test a subset of our assets. We did, I think, 2,500 videos and about 160,000 images, and we ran OCR, speech to text, and some facial recognition on all of those assets, and it was a game changer. It was going from 0 to 11, I guess, as the title said, in really literally no time. To be able to have the speech to text on all of the videos, huge game changer. A good example for, I guess, the use that we have of that is, and I say this a lot in conversation when people ask why I'm doing what I'm doing, but for creating efficiency internally, the way that the Rock Hall had to react when, say, one of our inductees passes away unexpectedly. So the day that we hear Prince dies, there was a email trail that had 20 people on it of who has what, where is it, what can we use, what are the permissions, how do we get anything out socially, or what can we provide media, what can we do as fast as possible to celebrate the life of this person that has unexpectedly left us. And invariably we're going to get maybe a curator who says, we have an oral history from this guy who talked about Prince and the impact that he had on his career. Can somebody find that? And then somebody will say, well, it's in the archive, we can give it to one of our archivists, but it's 3 hours long. Any idea where in that 3-hour-long video he's talking about Prince? And now I go to a system, I type in Prince, and the person who did the oral history, and I can go immediately to that asset with the speech to text right there, it takes me to exactly that point in that 3-hour-long video. We can clip 30 seconds out of it. We can get it to the marketing team, and they can produce something with it. Previously, it was, does anybody have an intern available? Can they watch this on double speed in order to like see where there might be, and if the person's even remembering correctly that this person might have said something about Prince in this 3-hour-long oral history that we have. But just the efficiency that it has created for us to have this tool now, and that gives us searchability and instantaneous metadata. Is it 100% correct? No, but it doesn't need to be. If you're using, we're not using the speech to text for captions. We're not, it's, what it is providing a searchable bank of data that helps us create efficiencies to get to specific things faster. Where before if you didn't connect specifically with one of our archivists who could look up something in their archives database that says there's this asset, here's the file name, and then get access to that location on the network server drive and try to find something that has a file name that means nothing to anybody if you're not an archivist, then you might get it and it might be the thing that you're looking for. There was no ability for anyone internally to discover things on their own. There was no interface for people to maybe find the thing that they're looking for, but then also dig through a whole bunch of other stuff. You wouldn't be able to go in and type in the Ramones and see all of the performances or speeches at induction ceremonies, but then also see in our archival collections the photographs that were donated by photographers of shows from CBGBs or any of that stuff that you didn't know existed before. And now we can do that. It is not an asset management system. It is a metadata creation tool. And we are using really basic functions of it right now for recognition, for facial recognition. We can use celebrity databases in order to, because our content works with something like that. But we can also train the system to find specific people that we want it to find. Maybe it's our board members. Maybe it's my CEO. Maybe it is staff members. It could be anybody who maybe isn't a celebrity or wouldn't be in a celebrity database. But if I find enough straight-on, well-lit images that I can train the system to learn who that person is, then the system can find that person in hundreds of thousands of other assets that we have and tag them. And even if it's not 100%, being close is fine. We can take away the ones that maybe are misidentified. It's not a big deal. In our case, something is better than nothing. And being able to get near something is better than literally having no idea whatsoever.
So Heidi, as we all look at the various data sources, we'll call it, that you've exemplified here on this picture, we had a question come in. Can you give a couple of examples of how long did it take to train, to start the training process and maybe pick out a couple of artists, as you were just saying, in a general level? What were good starting points? What kind of counsel would you give on starting points?
For training faces specifically?
Sure, let's start with faces and then pick up a couple things.
I mean, it was fast. It was, I think we in the sample set that we had of 2,500 videos, I don't remember how many hours of video it was, but it was more than we originally anticipated. And 160,000 images. And again, these are our test assets. We've got a lot more to do. This is just where we wanted to start to see what was possible. I mean, I think we had all of the processes run in like a week. Mm-hmm. depending on what you want to do, the speech to text or the OCR can run maybe overnight, maybe a couple days. The facial recognition takes a little bit longer. And again, it depends on if you're training your own model or if you are using maybe a celebrity database or something that already exists that somebody else built. I mean, Microsoft has a celebrity database, AWS has a celebrity database, IBM has a celebrity database. Everybody has their own, and some of them, can work better than others. But the turnaround for it really is monumentally nothing.
I like this phrase, monumentally nothing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I mean,
what in our world is monumentally nothing?
If I had to sit and think about the time it would take for a person to name all of the people in one induction ceremony, with the amount of people that play on the stage for every song, with the people that are in every single band, with the people that are giving speeches, with the people that are in the audience, and then opening up every asset and typing a name in, it just, that we don't have people who can put that amount of time into doing that. And I can run, 500 to 800 images plus we do a broadcast master and an international broadcast master, and then line cuts of every induction ceremony, which, I mean, it's less than a week for me to run all of those processes on it and suddenly have assets that are immediately searchable. I can ingest them into the system, and by the next day, our marketing team has access to it, and people are named. And is it 100% correct? No. But is it really close, and is it going to get you at least near where you need to be so that you can discover what's around it? Absolutely.
And in that process, when you're assessing the integrity, the quality assurance, who's helping, and what's that workflow? Who's doing that to say, well, it's not 100%, but it's awfully close. So you're adjudicating what gets out in a thoughtful way.
Well, since we're using it mainly as an internal tool right now, it's really just educating my users and saying, if you see something that's wrong, we'll flag it and we'll fix it. Or we'll use that as a training model for teaching the system something better. But as of right now, because it's an internal tool, we're not overly concerned with something being wrong. Obviously, if we use this data eventually, because our goal eventually is to have a publicly accessible archive so that anybody anywhere in the world can use and look at and discover and enjoy this gold mine of content that we have. I think I mentioned earlier, right now, you can come and enjoy it if you're in Cleveland, and come to and visit our library and archives or our museum and see all kinds of stuff. But we don't have a publicly accessible archive right now because we haven't had the data or the system to know that what we are putting out there is the truth.
Have you had the chance yet to collaborate with any of the other kind of music collecting organizations like LA's Grammy Museum or some of the other databases? You mentioned the general ones for celebrities, but anything specifically in music?
We have actually been collaborating with Austin City Limits, who are obviously PBS out of Austin. We do have copies of their archive of all of their episodes, and we've been doing some testing with them also around their content and how all of these processes work with that as well. And right now, we're making sure that we are getting kind of our house in order more than we are reaching out and collaborating with other musical institutions right now.
With the Austin City Limits content, is there a kind of in the same way we had the earlier questions, and thank you for these. Heidi did bring a couple of genuine authenticated T-shirts and key rings, so we like these questions.
If you're interested in a Rock Hall T-shirt, let me know.
So with Austin City Limits, what's kind of the base data frame that you're using? How do you get that going?
So the things that I've been trying to test is sort of a what works and what doesn't. And I thought that while we were doing this testing, the Austin City Limits episodes kind of have a little bit of everything, so it was a really good testing ground. Does speech to text work when people are singing? How well does OCR work for on-screen captions capture? We had every Austin City Limits episode has a title screen that says, who's in it. And then throughout the episode, there's, sometimes the names will come up on the lower third of the screen. And then there's usually the credits that roll at the end, that if we run OCR on every single one of these episodes, we suddenly have all of that data. And when you search for something, that episode is going to come up if you're looking for that name. And before, what we had was a file name. Right? They did provide us with a extensive Excel spreadsheet with lists of every song that's performed in every episode and who was in it. But that data was in no way connected to the media itself. So when the asset management system implementation happens, we'll be able to import that data and have it all connected. But in the meantime, like I said, we knew that process for implementation of the system was going to take X number, I estimate a year. And my executive team wanted something faster. So this is the tool that we're using to get something faster, and it has been an absolute game changer.
So Heidi, you and I have both been involved in a lot of museum and knowledge management projects using oral history for interviews of artists or leading thinkers. And speech to text has been critical to that and making it discoverable. You said something interesting a moment ago about the Austin City Limits, about listening to, about when people are singing. Mm-hmm. What happens? I have no idea what happens with that kind of technology, and it's a performance song, not just someone speaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There are some artists who, when they're singing, are actually really articulate. There were some Willie Nelson episodes from Austin City Limits that actually worked really well with the speech to text, and I was pretty surprised because he's still singing, but he was he enunciates well when he's singing. But I mean, I've got some oral histories, one in particular that I laugh at every time I see it, which is Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and I think Fats Domino. And all of their accents and all of their southern drawls and them having conversations, kind of talking over each other, and the speech to text just couldn't keep up and it couldn't handle it. But again, it's something that if we have the people to correct it. It picks up words here and there. Sometimes it just gets it completely wrong. But if somebody's watching it and they understand what it is, all you have to do is go in and type in what they actually said and you're done. So getting something in that sense is still what I think is better than nothing.
So Heidi, while we wrap up, could you make a couple of quick comments? You've built an extraordinary degree of trust and belief with the artistic community.
Yeah.
And that, of course, carries with it as a great deal of attention to rights and permissions.
Yeah.
Can you comment on that? We've had several questions come in of curiosity about that.
Yeah, so another thing that we're working on managing in order to make our archive publicly accessible. And also another reason that when you come visit us, you can see everything inside our building because of very tricky rights and permissions. So the rights and permissions are going to be managed in the asset management system. And there will be, ultimately a simple checkbox. Can this be publicly available? Yes, no. Or is it publicly available for a certain amount of time and expire it at a certain point? If it's related to a specific exhibit or if it's related to a specific performance, we can use it from here to there. But we're going to have to build in a very complicated rights and permissions workflow. However, we have a lot of born digital content, I guess I would say, which are oral histories and induction ceremony content and things that we create and produce ourselves. The things that we collect are a little bit different. Generally, if somebody donates something to us, we do ask them to fill out any paperwork that tells us more about, if it's a photography collection, like who did you take the pictures or did somebody else? If so, do you have permission from that person? We do have people who on staff who actively seek permissions, and then there are some things that we just don't know anything about. And our goal is to make as much of what we have available to everybody. We are the custodians of it. We're not the keepers. We don't want to put up a wall. We don't want to keep things from anybody. We want everybody to be able to see everything. And sometimes it's a gamble to put something out there and cross our fingers that there won't be pushback. We absolutely want to honor the copyright and the ownership of any and all content by the people who created it. We're not trying to take away any credit from the original creators of it, but we also don't want to keep it behind doors. I mean, it's the history of rock and roll belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to us. Everybody should be able to browse through it. Everybody should be able to learn from it. Everybody should be able to contribute to it. We only exist because the stories around rock and roll are so powerful to so many people. Everybody has a song that triggers memory to them. It's when I watch people come through our building, it's a miracle that people just stand in front of things, and they're people from completely different walks of life who bond over a story or a concert or something, and they might remember that this thing happened in 1983 and I was there. And that personal experience that they have with that thing is exactly what we also want to capture and measure and celebrate. So rights and permissions are tricky, but we're in the business to share absolutely everything and as much as we possibly can.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for sharing a few thoughts about this journey for you.
Yeah.
Please join me in thanking Heidi for this.